I never thought betrayal could hit like a gunshot to the heart until I saw it with my own eyes. There she was, Ashley, my wife, in the middle of my goddamn living room, sitting on the lap of my brother, Brandon, laughing, whispering into his ear, her hand buried way too low under the hem of his shorts. They didn't see me. Not yet. I stood there, frozen, clutching the stupid grocery bags I had just picked up because she texted me, "We're out of coffee, babe. Hurry, hurry," so she could have more alone time with my own blood. Brandon, the guy who used to chase me around the backyard, who swore we were ride-or-die brothers forever. Now he had his dirty fingers wrapped around everything that was supposed to be mine. I didn't shout. I didn't throw the bags. I just stood there, watching, my pulse slamming against my temples so hard I thought I might pass out. I watched her lean in and kiss him on the neck, the same way she used to kiss me when we were still pretending to be happy. She whispered something that made him smirk, and his hand slid under the back of her shirt. Right then, something inside me broke. Snapped clean in two. She finally noticed me. Her head jerked up. Those big brown eyes that once melted me now widened in fake surprise, fake horror. "Oh my God, Tyler, it's not what it looks like," she stammered, scrambling off his lap like a kid caught stealing cookies. Brandon stood up too, not even bothering to look guilty. He just smirked. That lazy, arrogant smirk he'd always gotten away with since we were kids. Like he knew he could get whatever he wanted, and this time, he wanted my wife. I dropped the groceries right there on the floor. Eggs cracked, orange juice puddled around my shoes. Still, I didn't move. I couldn't. The image of them burned into my skull, permanent and unforgiving. Ashley stepped closer, fake tears already pooling in her eyes. "Tyler, listen, it's not what you think." Brandon was just comforting me. I was upset about. Upset about what, Ashley? My voice came out like a stranger's, dead, hollow. Upset about marrying the wrong brother? Her mouth opened and closed like a dying fish, but no words came out. Brandon chuckled under his breath. "Come on, man. Don't make a big deal out of this. You and Ash, you were always on different wavelengths anyway. She deserves someone who gets her." Those words sliced deeper than any knife could. And Ashley, my wife, she didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just crossed her arms and shrugged, like I was some inconvenience she had to deal with now that the fun was over. "You're too sensitive, Tyler," she said, voice dripping with contempt. "You overthink everything. Brandon's easy. He makes me laugh. You make me tired." Tired. That's what I had become to her after 5 years of loyalty, of building a life together. Tired. I stared at the woman I had once planned to grow old with, wondering how I could have been so blind. How long had they been sneaking around behind my back? How many lies had she fed me while cuddling up at night, pretending to be my wife? Brandon grabbed his keys off the counter. "We're leaving," he said casually, like we were all just roommates after a bad dinner. "You'll be fine, Ty. You'll see. It's better this way." Ashley looked at me one last time, her face blank, almost bored. Then she turned and walked out the door with my brother, not even glancing back. I stood there in the wreckage of my life, orange juice soaking into my socks, heart hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sank to my knees and stared at the door. That was the exact moment my world ended. And somewhere deep inside the shattered ruins of who I was, something new started to wake up. Something that wouldn't forgive. Something that wouldn't forget. I didn't move for a long time. Maybe hours. Maybe days. Time didn't exist anymore. Just the hollow space they left behind, filled with all the things they took with them. When I finally stood up, my knees cracked. I stumbled to the kitchen sink, stared out the window at the empty driveway where Brandon's truck had been parked so many times before, the same truck he helped me pick out after my promotion. The world outside looked the same. It mocked me with its normalcy. My phone buzzed on the counter. For a second, I hoped, stupid, naive hope, that maybe Ashley realized what she had done. Maybe it was an apology, a desperate text telling me she made a mistake. It was a Venmo request from Brandon. $50 for pizza and beer, the note read. I gripped the edge of the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. My own brother. My wife. Eating, drinking, laughing at my expense, and now asking me to fund it. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear splashed down onto the countertop. I wiped it away roughly, furious at myself for giving them even that. When I finally gathered enough strength to move, I stormed upstairs, ripping open drawers, tearing through Ashley's closet. Half of her stuff was already gone. A few dresses still hung there like ghosts. On the bed, A drawer half opened revealed something that stopped me cold. A photo album. One Ashley had made for our second anniversary. She called it our forever memories. Cute little captions under every photo. Smiling selfies at the beach. Her hugging me at my graduation. Tickets from our first concert together. I flipped through it with trembling hands until I noticed something tucked between 2 pages. A receipt. Hotel Rosewood. 2 nights. 1 king bed. Check-in. 2 months ago. Guest name. Brandon Carter. I clenched the album so tight it bent in my hands. She hadn't just started with him recently. She'd been doing this while we were still planning a second honeymoon. While she was still calling me the love of her life in front of my friends. The doorbell rang. My body reacted before my mind did, storming downstairs 2 at a time. I flung the door open. There she was. Ashley. Dressed in a tight black dress I'd never seen before, makeup done like she was ready for a night out. Her heels clicked on the front step as she shifted her weight, looking at me like I was the problem. "Can we talk?" she said, her voice sweet but hollow. I stepped aside without a word. I wanted answers. I deserved them. She strutted into the house like she still owned it, flipping her hair over her shoulder, her perfume clouding the air with sickly sweetness. "I know you're upset," she started, crossing her arms under her chest. "But you're blowing this way out of proportion. It's not like we did anything serious." I laughed short, bitter. "Nothing serious? You were grinding on my brother in my house. It's not like we went all the way," she snapped, rolling her eyes. "God, Tyler, you're always so dramatic." I stared at her, speechless. The level of disrespect was beyond anything I had imagined. She caught that look and smirked. "I needed someone who actually listens to me. Brandon, he sees me. You're always so stuck in your boring routines. Work, bills, chores. You're just not exciting anymore. So you screwed my brother because you were bored," I said flatly. Her face hardened. "You don't get it. You never got it." The truth hit me then, harder than any punch. She didn't regret it. She didn't even think she was wrong. In her twisted mind, I deserved this because I wasn't entertaining enough. I leaned against the wall, feeling like the air had been sucked out of the room. "How long?" I asked quietly. She hesitated, then shrugged, careless. "About a year," she said, picking at her nails like she was bored again. "Maybe more. It's hard to keep track." A year. A whole year of smiling at me over dinner. Sleeping beside me. Pretending. Something inside me, something that still cared, died right there on the living room floor. She pulled out a stack of papers from her purse and tossed them onto the coffee table. "Divorce papers," she said brightly. "I figured you'd want to get this over with quickly. Brandon and I, well, we have plans." Plans. Like I was just an old coat she was donating to Goodwill to make space in her closet for something new. I stared at the papers without touching them. My hands were trembling too much. "Sign them," she said, already walking toward the door. "Make it easy, Tyler." And then she was gone again. Out into the night, high heels clicking against the pavement, laughing into her phone. Probably calling Brandon. Probably planning their next little celebration. And me? I was standing in a house that wasn't a home anymore, realizing for the first time that I had been living in a fantasy and it had just gone up in flames. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the living room floor, back against the cold wall, staring at the divorce papers like they were a ticking bomb. The house was too quiet. Every creak, every groan of the wood felt like it was mocking me, reminding me that I was alone now. At some point, maybe around 3 or 4 in the morning, I finally moved. I grabbed a pen and signed the papers with a hand that barely felt attached to my body. Every stroke felt like slicing my own skin open. When I was done, I just sat there, staring at my signature. Tyler Carter. A name that used to mean something to her. Now just a formality. The silence was broken by a ding on my phone. A message from my friend, Marcus. "Bro, you okay? Call me." He must have heard. Everyone would hear soon enough. Small town, big mouths. I didn't answer. I didn't want to hear anyone tell me it would be okay. It wasn't. It would never be. Another buzz. Ashley just posted pics with Brandon. They're at the Velvet Room. The Velvet Room. The fancy nightclub downtown. The one we were supposed to go to for our anniversary before she claimed she was too tired. I don't even remember deciding. My body just moved. Next thing I knew, I was dressed, keys in hand, shoving the door open so hard it slammed against the wall. I drove like a demon-possessed, tires screeching at every turn. When I pulled up to the Velvet Room, the valet tried to take my keys. I ignored him, storming past the line of people waiting to get in. Some of them stared, some laughed. I didn't care. Inside, the bass thudded in my chest, lights flashing like a fever dream. And there they were, center of attention. Ashley on Brandon's lap again, drink in one hand, the other twirling around his neck like she owned him. She spotted me through the strobe lights. Instead of panic, instead of guilt, she smirked, raised her glass toward me like she was toasting my heartbreak. That was the moment something inside me snapped for good. I pushed through the crowd, fist clenched. Brandon saw me coming and stood up, hands out like he thought he could calm me down. "Tyler, man, don't do this here," he said, laughing nervously. Ashley stayed seated, sipping her drink, eyes gleaming like she was watching a movie. I grabbed Brandon by the collar and shoved him hard. He stumbled back, crashing into a table, sending drinks flying everywhere. Gasps and shouts echoed around us. Bouncers were already moving toward me. I didn't care. Brandon scrambled to his feet, shoving me back. "Grow up, Ty." She chose me. Get over it. Chose. Like I was some second-place trophy she tossed away. I swung, caught him clean across the jaw. He staggered, blood spraying from his lip. The bouncers grabbed me then, dragging me toward the exit. Ashley stood there, watching it all with a smug little smile. She didn't say a word, didn't lift a finger, just raised her phone and started filming. For a second, our eyes locked. And I swear to God, she winked. They threw me out into the street like garbage. I landed hard on the pavement, palms scraping open, knees jarring. The cool night air hit me like a slap. I lay there for a second, breathing hard, heart pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. I wasn't just angry. I was broken. And as I pulled myself to my feet, one thought burned hotter than anything else. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't go home. I drove around for hours, past old playgrounds, past the diner where Ashley and I had our first date, past the church where we said our vows. Every turn was a knife in my ribs. Every memory tasted like ash. Around dawn, I ended up outside Marcus's place. I didn't even text him. I just knocked once, hard, and he opened the door, looking like hell in his boxers and t-shirt. One look at my face, and he didn't say a word. Just stepped aside and let me in. I collapsed onto his couch, the exhaustion hitting me like a freight train. My knuckles were raw from the punch I threw. My shirt still smelled like cheap club smoke. And my heart wasn't even mine anymore. Marcus sat across from me, rubbing his jaw like he was trying to figure out how to start. "I heard, man," he finally said. I didn't answer. He leaned forward. "You can't let them win like this." I looked at him, feeling the first flicker of something dangerous, something alive. "What are you talking about?" My voice cracked. He smiled, grim. "You want to feel better? Hit back. Not with your fists. With your brain." The idea rooted itself in me, fast and deep. Not petty revenge. Something worse. Something they wouldn't see coming. Marcus grabbed his laptop and started typing furiously. "Brandon's got a court date coming up," he said, scrolling. "Remember that fight he got into last year? Bar fight downtown? Pled out probation." I leaned in. If he violates probation, even a little, he's screwed. The memory clicked into place. Brandon, drunk out of his mind, swinging at a stranger because he looked at Ashley the wrong way. Swept under the rug because he had friends in the department. Marcus grinned. "And guess who filmed you getting tossed out of that club?" "Ashley," I muttered. "Exactly. But if you grab the security footage from before you got there, it'll show him shoving you first." It was crazy. It was risky. It was perfect. I stood up, energy surging through me for the first time in days. Marcus clapped me on the back. "Let's go." We drove straight to the Velvet Room. Manager wasn't happy about it, not at 6 in the morning, but Marcus flashed his badge, perks of being a volunteer sheriff's deputy, and after some arguing, we got into the back office. The footage was crystal clear. Brandon, drunk, shoving me. Brandon yelling. Brandon grabbing my shirt first. Marcus copied it onto a flash drive and handed it to me like it was a weapon. "Use it smart," he said. "Make it hurt." I nodded, pocketing the drive. By noon, I was sitting outside Brandon's new condo, the one Ashley had moved into overnight, judging by her stupid rose gold SUV in the driveway. I watched them through the window, laughing, drinking mimosas like they didn't have a care in the world. And I smiled, because they had no idea what was coming. At 3 p.m., I sent the footage anonymously to Brandon's probation officer, along with a little tip-off about his recent violent behavior at the Velvet Room. At 6 p.m., Brandon's door got kicked in by 2 cops. I watched from down the block as they cuffed him right there in front of Ashley, dragging him out while she screamed and cursed at everyone like a banshee. He shouted for her to help him. She slammed the door in his face. My hand shook on the steering wheel, but it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline. Pure satisfaction. It wasn't enough. Not yet. But it was a start. I drove away before anyone could spot me, my heart pounding in time with the engine. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. Brandon was out of the way. Now it was Ashley's turn. And I was just getting started. Ashley didn't even wait 24 hours before moving on. The next morning, I saw her posts all over social media, selfies at brunch, captioned, "Starting fresh. Only up from here, kiss mark dot." No mention of Brandon. No hint of the disaster she helped cause. Just her, grinning with her fake friends, pretending she was some innocent girl rising from the ashes. I knew exactly what she was doing. Painting herself as the victim. Rewriting the story before anyone else could. It made me sick. But it also gave me the opening I needed. I wasn't going to just sit back and watch her glide into her new fake life. I was going to tear it apart, brick by brick. The first step was simple. I had spent years building our lives together, credit cards, bank accounts, utilities, all tied together neatly. But after she ran off with Brandon, she forgot one very important thing. Her brand new luxury apartment was still partly under my name. I pulled into the bank parking lot, heart pounding in my chest, and walked straight to the counter. "I need to freeze all joint accounts immediately," I said calmly. The woman behind the counter didn't even blink. 10 minutes later, every dollar Ashley had access to was locked down tight. By lunchtime, her card would get declined for her overpriced salad. But that wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. I went back to my truck and pulled up my email. Ashley had left herself logged in on our shared laptop. Careless. Stupid. Exactly like her. I skimmed through her messages, stomach tightening with every line. There it was. Emails between her and a local event planner. She had booked an engagement party. Not just a party, a full-on engagement announcement for her and Brandon, less than a month after ditching me. The rage that shot through me was white-hot. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went bone white. Perfect. If she wanted a party, I was going to give her a show she'd never forget. I copied the guest list. Friends. Family. Brandon's old buddies. Even a few of my former coworkers, since they hadn't picked sides yet. I spent the next 2 days quietly setting everything in motion. Anonymous messages. Screenshots. Photos. Every filthy little detail of Ashley's affair, Brandon's arrest, all of it, sent directly to everyone on that list. No explanations. No commentary. Just the truth. Let them see what she was really celebrating. By the time her special night rolled around, the room was packed. I watched from across the street as she arrived in a slinky white dress, grinning like she was walking a red carpet. She posed for photos at the entrance. She kissed Brandon, who had somehow scraped together bail money, right there in front of the cameras. For a moment, it looked like she had one. Until the whispers started. One by one, faces shifted. Phones came out. People stared, eyes narrowing, glancing between their screens and the couple they thought they knew. Ashley noticed it first. Her smile faltered. She leaned in, whispering urgently to Brandon. He grabbed his phone too, brows furrowing as he scrolled through message after message. And then chaos. People walking out. Shouting. Some laughing openly. One woman, Brandon's own cousin, marched up to Ashley and threw a drink straight into her perfect, powdered face. Ashley screamed, shoving Brandon hard enough that he stumbled into a table, knocking over a massive cake with a ridiculous happily ever after topper. The scene exploded into full meltdown, yelling, crying, people filming everything. And me? I leaned back against the wall across the street, arms folded, watching it all burn. It wasn't enough to hurt her. She needed to be exposed. Humiliated. Left with nothing but the ruins she built herself. When Ashley finally stormed out of the building, mascara running down her face, screaming into her phone, she didn't see me. She didn't know that I was just getting warmed up. Because breaking her public image was just step one. I was coming for her next. Where it would really hurt. And she would never, ever see it coming. Ashley didn't just lose face that night. She lost half her fake friends too. The next morning, her Instagram was a wasteland. Comments flooded her pictures, snakes, homewrecker, liar. Some even tagged Brandon's probation officer, throwing salt straight into that still bleeding wound. I thought maybe she'd lay low after that. I should have known better. Ashley wasn't the type to hide when the walls came crashing down. She was the type to claw and scratch and climb over the rubble, pretending it didn't hurt. Pretending she wasn't bleeding. 2 days later, she posted a story, fake crying, rambling about being betrayed by people she trusted. claiming someone hacked her accounts, calling herself a survivor of her own goddamn mess. I almost laughed. Almost. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. She still had one thing left, her real estate license. The only thing she had actually worked for instead of leeching off someone else. It wasn't much, but it was hers, and her entire fake new start depended on it. And she had a fatal flaw. She loved bragging. Loved posting photos of closing deals, where she'd drink champagne with buyers, always at expensive listings she wasn't supposed to use for private parties. I dug a little deeper, pulled every shady post she ever made. Photos in homes that weren't hers to promote. Photos of clients who weren't clients at all, just friends posing for fake deals. It took one anonymous complaint to the real estate board. One well-documented packet of evidence. One quiet phone call from a concerned citizen. Within a week, Ashley got summoned to a disciplinary hearing. She tried to spin it, of course. Posted another crying video, whining about jealous haters. Wearing oversized sunglasses indoors, sipping wine like she was the tragic hero of some sad Netflix drama. But the hearing went badly. Really badly. Multiple violations. Misrepresentation. Unauthorized use of properties. Her license was suspended indefinitely. And just like that, the last shiny piece of her new life cracked and crumbled under her feet. She couldn't sell houses anymore. Couldn't fake the image of success anymore. She was exposed. Raw. Flailing. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt empty. Like I had dug a grave for both of us, and I was the one still standing there holding the shovel. Marcus called me that night. "You finally buried her," he said, a strange tone in his voice. "Yeah," I said, staring out the window at nothing. "I guess I did. You feel better?" I didn't answer. Because the truth was, it didn't feel like winning. It just felt like the end of something that had been rotting for a long time. Later that night, around 2 a.m, my phone buzzed again. Blocked number. I answered without thinking. There was a pause on the line. Heavy breathing. Then Ashley's voice, raw and broken. "You ruined my life," she whispered. I closed my eyes, leaning my head back against the wall. "No," I said quietly. "You ruined your own life. I just made sure you didn't get away with it." There was a soft click as she hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at the ceiling. The fight was over. The war was won. But the cost was higher than I ever imagined. And in the quiet aftermath, I realized something brutal and true. Ashley was never the love of my life. She was just the lesson I had to learn the hard way. The days after Ashley's final call felt strange. Like the world kept moving, but I was standing still. I stopped going to work for a while. Burned through my sick days without even calling in. Just stayed home, pacing the empty rooms, listening to the silence that used to terrify me. It didn't scare me anymore. It just reminded me of the truth. The truth was, I didn't miss her. Not really. I missed the version of her I invented. The woman who looked at me like I was her whole world. The one who used to laugh at my stupid jokes, who kissed me at red lights, who swore up and down that we were forever. But that woman never really existed. Ashley was a mask. And I spent years loving a mask, pretending not to see the cracks underneath. I found myself driving past places we used to go, the coffee shop where she used to order the usual, like a queen, the park bench where she first told me she loved me, the beach house we rented for a weekend and almost burned down trying to light a fire at. Each place hit like a punch to the gut. Each place peeled back another layer of denial. One night, I ended up back at the beach. Same one. Same stupid stretch of sand. Empty now, just the moonlight stretching across the black water, cold and endless. I sat down on the sand, shoes digging into the damp ground, and finally let it all out. The anger, the grief, the humiliation, everything. I yelled into the ocean like it could take some of the weight off my chest. Screamed until my throat was raw, until my fists ached from punching the wet sand. Nobody heard me. Nobody cared. And somehow, that was freeing. I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to smile and say I was okay. I didn't have to carry the weight of her betrayal like it was some shameful secret. I was broken. But broken wasn't the same as defeated. I stayed there until the sun started to rise, the first pale light creeping over the water, washing everything in gray. When I finally stood up, something shifted inside me. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't peace. But it was the beginning of something. Something better. I dusted the sand off my jeans, shoved my hands into my pockets, and started walking back toward my truck. No dramatic final words. No last looks. Just a man who had finally stopped bleeding. A man ready to start building something real, even if it took years, even if it meant walking alone for a while. Ashley was just a chapter. A brutal, messy chapter. But not the whole story. Not even close. Life didn't magically get better after that night on the beach. There were no easy fixes, no inspirational movie montages. Some mornings I still woke up feeling like my chest was caved in. Some nights I stared at the ceiling for hours, thinking about all the ways it could have gone differently if I had just seen the signs earlier. If I hadn't trusted so blindly. If I had been enough. But little by little, something changed. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped replaying the betrayal over and over in my head like some sick movie I couldn't turn off. I started working on me. Quietly. Without making a show of it. I went back to the gym. Not for revenge. Not to post thirst traps. Just because it felt good to hurt in a way I could control. I picked up extra shifts. Stacked my money. Moved into a smaller place, one I could call mine without any stains of the past attached to it. Marcus kept checking on me. Kept dragging me out for beers and late-night drives when the walls closed in too tight. A few other friends stuck around, the real ones who didn't need to pick sides because they always knew who Ashley really was. And somewhere in the middle of all that, in the heavy, silent spaces where I thought I'd always be alone, I found something I didn't expect. Freedom. Real freedom. Not the kind Ashley used to whine about wanting, the freedom to screw around, to lie, to treat people like stepping stones. No. A deeper freedom. The freedom of knowing I survived the worst thing I could imagine. And it didn't destroy me. It reshaped me. Sharpened me. Taught me exactly what kind of man I never want to be again. Looking back now, I realize Ashley was never the problem. She was the lesson. The brutal, bloody lesson that trust is a gift, not a given. That love without respect is just slow-motion self-destruction. That sometimes the people closest to you, even the ones you'd take a bullet for, are the ones holding the gun. If I could tell anyone going through the same hell one thing, it would be this. Don't waste your time trying to fix what's already rotten. Don't drown yourself trying to save someone who's busy setting the boat on fire. Walk away. Let it burn. And don't you dare look back. Because the life you deserve, the real one, the good one, is waiting for you on the other side of the wreckage. All you have to do is survive long enough to find it. And trust me. You will. I did.